The Citizen Report is a production of New Shannon Media. All content protected under copyright.
And welcome to the Citizen Report. I'm John Shannon, and thank you for joining me tonight. As always, this newscast is real, in-depth American. Thank you so much for joining me. My co-host, David Heller, is off tonight. Well, this is going to be a pretty short broadcast tonight. I've got a few things to share with you. It's more or less to supplement the last broadcast. I'm going to provide you with a little more of sound bites and a little more information, if you will. And But before I get to that, I just want to say, generally speaking, that we are entering Christmas week now. And by the way, Merry Christmas, early Merry Christmas to all of you. And I just want you to understand that we're entering a very, very pivotal time. We're entering a very, very critical phase of all this in terms of Trump and the Patriots and their plan to save this republic. And by all appearances, we are nearing, and I keep saying this, but I truly believe that we are very close to that point of no return, that Trump's going to have to fully commit to making hard steps, because they're going to try to push Biden in come January 20th. And of course, Trump will not let that happen. In my personal opinion, I do not believe Trump will concede. I think that Trump's is going to stay in office no matter what. Because he did win this election, and in fact, this is an attempted coup against him, against this republic right now, to try to force Biden in, that the American people as a whole did not vote for him. So, but as I said, as I was alluding to at the top of the broadcast, I have a few sound bites to share with you. The first has to do with that nurse passing out as she was receiving what was purported to be the COVID vaccine, and it apparently was in Chattanooga area. And this is from WTVC, the ABC affiliate in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I want you to listen to this. This is more than just that little bit that I played on the previous broadcast. This is actually the full news clip. It's about 3 minutes long, so yes, it's a little lengthy, but just bear with me. I want you to listen to the excuse in particular that the hospital gave for the vaccine. And then when it's finished playing out, as I said, about 3 minutes or so, I'll provide my insights, my personal opinion on the matter. But for right now, let's play this, and then I'll talk about it.
Shocking surprise overshadows a pivotal moment in Chattanooga's fight against COVID-19. I'm Josh Rowe.
And I'm Kim Chapman. Today, CHI Memorial called reporters to their hospital as they vaccinated their first group of frontline workers. This nurse was in that group.
About 17 minutes after receiving the shot, she took questions from reporters, and then this happened.
I'm sorry, I'm feeling really dizzy. I'm sorry.
At this point, she faints.
News Channel 9 Stephanie LaChance spoke to the nurse moments after what you just saw. Stephanie, how's she doing tonight?
Kim, Josh, Tiffany Dover, the nurse that fainted right after being vaccinated, is doing just fine. In fact, just minutes after she fainted, she was able to get back up on her feet and talk to us again.
I'm sorry, I'm feeling really dizzy.
A moment that took the room by surprise, just moments after one of the first COVID-19 vaccinations at CHI Memorial. Tiffany Dover, a CHI Memorial nurse, fainting, but minutes later, she was back on her feet.
It just, hit me all of a sudden. I felt really desperate again. But I feel fine now.
Dover tells us she has a medical condition that can sometimes cause her to faint.
It's common for me.
Doctors we spoke to say this is not unusual.
It is a reaction that can happen very frequently with any vaccine, with a shot.
They wanted to reassure those who saw it happen.
No reason to suspect that that's due to the vaccine whatsoever.
CHI Memorial received 975 of these today and are hoping to give them out within the next week. A COVID-19 vaccine. shot of hope.
I feel very confident that it was done safely. I do not think that this was rushed or that corners were cut.
CHI Memorial doctors say this is the light at the end of the tunnel.
It's an overwhelming sense of gratitude in the sense that, literally there are millions of dead and dying out there that aren't going to have this opportunity that I've been afforded today.
Doctors tell us they typically keep people between 15 to 30 minutes after getting vaccinated in case of situations like this. Reporting live in Hamilton County, I'm Stephanie LaChance, News Channel 9.
Stephanie, thank you. Well, Chattanooga's 2 other hospitals began vaccinations as well today. Erlanger sent us...
All right, I'm actually going to stop it a bit early, but you got the gist of it. Did you hear, and I'll basically repeat or paraphrase at least what one of the people from the hospital said, that basically that this is normal, pretty common, basically, that it's not unusual for someone to faint from a vaccine in general. I'm sorry, maybe I'm just totally, clueless on how things actually work with it. But the last time I checked, I don't think that vaccines are something that cause people to faint. I'm just putting that out there, but at any rate, I wanted you to hear that, some of the context and all that. They claim that she has a medical condition. Okay, whatever. But, so basically, the best way I know to put it is I'm not trying to fearmonger or anything. If you choose to take the vaccine, that's your choice. But, anything that Bill Gates tries to push, I'm sorry, but if Bill Gates is pushing it, I don't want it. We all know what Bill Gates is about. If you don't know what Bill Gates is about, all you have to do is go Google what he says. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And by the way, some of the same people that talk about population control are now pushing this. So what does that tell you? Okay? It's absolutely preposterous. I'm going to try to keep moving along rather rapidly here. I'm now going to segue to a clip from True News. Rick Wiles, I believe is the individual's name. I'm not saying I'm endorsing this broadcast, but I must say that this is pretty interesting claim coming from this particular broadcast. It's about 2 minutes, 20 seconds long. I think I talked about this on the last broadcast, and now I'm actually going to play for you the soundbite regarding what they claim to be intel that President Donald Trump is planning to implement some limited form of martial law. So let me play this part for you and let you hear it for yourself.
I had a text today from a business friend in Michigan. I'm not going to give names. I'll protect confidentiality. And he just passed on to me what was said to him this afternoon. This is today, in the afternoon. He received a UPS delivery, and the UPS driver was female and a regular driver to his business. And the driver said that her son had been in the Marine Corps and that today he was ordered to report to duty in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yes.
And when he got to the reporting station, he called his mother and said, the building in the parking lot is full of men who've been activated.
Frenzy of activity.
Okay, so that's a phone call. I mean, that was a text I received today from a business friend in Michigan, and this is something he heard directly from the mother of this soldier. Now, what's going on in Michigan? I don't know. But I will tell you this. I called a friend who was involved in the Trump campaign at a fairly high level to tell him about that message. And before I could tell him the message,
he had a message for you.
He had a message for me, and the two messages went dovetail. And he interrupted me. I called him and I said, hey, I got to tell you something. He goes, wait a minute, let me tell you this. He goes, I was just told that President Trump is going to declare limited martial law in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. And I think he also said Arizona. And I said, what's going on? He said, He said troops are going to seize the election offices, and he wasn't sure if what he was told was whether they're going to.
Okay, so that was the end of that clip. But I think it's an interesting clip. I think it's an interesting clip considering everything else that we've been hearing. It would certainly, I certainly think it's possible that President Trump implements some limited form of martial law. And in keeping with that, that purported intel, this is a tweet from General Flynn on Twitter. You can actually go and look. As of right now, it's still up. So you can go see this as well for yourself. At Gen Flynn, you know, General Flynn's account. This is his official account, by the way. And it says hashtag We the People, and it's got a number of accounts he's citing, including Sidney Powell, L. Linwood, Dan Scavino, Lou Dobbs, Maria Bartiromo, Mark Levinshow, and LOFLY 727. And then it says, freedom never kneels except for God. So, and it includes a link to a website called WeThePeopleConvention.org. If you click on that link, it takes you to this page. Now, it's a pretty lengthy thing here, so you're going to have to just bear with me here as I read this. It is quite a long piece. I think it would benefit you, though, if I read this to you. And by the way, I am taking a risk even covering this, because YouTube, if they ever found out I'm talking about this, they'll probably yank this video, maybe my channel as well. So, so I make sure you're on my text message notification list so I can let you know if something should happen. But, okay, so now just bear with me here for 1 second. I'm going to make sure I get this up here. So this is again from We the People Convention. Exercising extraordinary authority in defense of our vote may be required because martial law is better than civil war. So it's a pretty strongly worded document here. And now I'm going to read it to you. It took me just a second to get it, but now I've got it. So here we go. It says, and I quote, "In the months following the start of the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln struggled to preserve the Union. Many objected to Lincoln's extraordinary use of presidential authority, in particular his suspension of the right of habeas corpus. On June 12, 1863, Lincoln defended his extreme measures in a letter published in the New York Times. Citing Article 1 of the Constitution, he argued, quote, "Ours is a case of rebellion. In fact, a clear, flagrant, and gigantic case of rebellion in the provision of the Constitution that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion the public safety may require it, is the provision which specifically applies to our present case," unquote. Lincoln used the same reasoning in justifying a series of extraordinary presidential orders. Lincoln ordered hundreds of northern newspapers that spoke against him to be shut down and their owners and editors arrested. Lincoln ordered the arrest of Ohio Congressman Clement Vallandigham for the crime of speaking out against him. Chief Justice of the U.S. Roger Taney ruled that Lincoln had violated the U.S. Constitution when he illegally suspended the writ of habeas corpus. After hearing this, Lincoln signed an arrest warrant to have the Chief Justice of the U.S. arrested. Let me stop right there and say, I tried to check to verify this particular claim about Lincoln supposedly signing an arrest warrant for the then Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. It appears that never actually happened, although there have been rumors, but there's, as far as we know, nothing to substantiate that claim. But everything else seems to check out. I just wanted to point that out because I'm trying to be as accurate as I can on here. All right, let me keep going, though. Lincoln ordered the arrest of thousands in Maryland for the crime of suspected Southern sympathies, including ordering the arrest of U.S. Congressman Henry May from Maryland. These people were arrested and held in military prisons without trial, some of them for years. While some debate these measures still today, no one disagrees that Lincoln and his use of presidential power were responsible for saving the Republic. While history and even former President Obama has judged Lincoln as perhaps our greatest president, few would have agreed at the time he took those actions. Then, as now, a president with courage and determination was needed to preserve the Union. Today, the current threat to our United States by the international and domestic socialist communist left is much more serious than anything Lincoln or our nation has faced in its history, including the Civil War. We have well-funded, armed, and trained Marxists in Antifa and BLM strategically positioned in our major cities, acting openly with violence to silence opposition to their anti-American agenda. Attacking federal buildings and police, cowardly punching innocent people in the back of the head, assaulting people just eating in restaurants, and burning minority-owned businesses to the ground, all with elected officials in Democrat socialist-controlled cities, openly encouraging this planned violence against civilians and businesses. Then, to advance their cause, these socialists are acting to defund the police, creating chaos and suspending the rule of law that protects millions of average and particularly minority Americans. The results being massive increases in violent crime and deaths in our cities and the destruction of small businesses orchestrated by those politicians and leftist groups, many funded by domestic and international communists. We are literally under attack from within. Then there are admitted Democrat socialist federal officials plotting to finish gutting the U.S. Constitution after 100 years of trying. They promise to take away critical individual rights like free speech, religious freedom, and the Second Amendment, destroy states' rights by eliminating the Electoral College and more, pack the Supreme Court with activist, anti-constitutionalist judges who will make law from the bench, give the right to vote to tens of millions of non-Americans, and open our borders to more illegals, which will reduce wages. No one voted for these things that were hidden from the majority of Americans by the corrupt media. Not only do we have corrupt media, like in Lincoln's day, we have a new and more sinister form of media in big tech, actively censoring free speech and promoting leftist propaganda to blind our citizens to their real goals and the real consequences of their actions. The end of America as we have known it. The socialist left has been openly working to destroy the United States since Obama promised and tried to transform America in 2008 to 2016. And having been stopped by the will of the American people, they openly staged a 4-year-long coup attempt to remove the duly elected president. Culminating in this corrupt and probably fraudulent current election planned to illegally and unconstitutionally deny the American people their most sacred honor, right, and privilege, which is the right to elect their representatives. How can we have a representative republic if we cannot hold fair elections to elect our representatives? There is no doubt that this attempted stealing of our elections again is a case of rebellion. In fact, a clear, flagrant, and gigantic case of rebellion that requires exercising extraordinary authority to preserve our union. President Trump, you and every other official in our local, state, and federal governments, and everyone in law enforcement and in our military have sworn an oath that says, I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It is time for everyone who swore that oath to act upon it. The enemies are within our gates, and our Constitution and nation are in real risk of being lost to this socialist, communist invasion unless you act decisively. At least half of all Americans do not and will not accept this fraudulent election because of the eyewitness testimony and the material, statistical, and mathematical evidence of overwhelming fraud. The other half will not accept the outcome if the courts see the evidence of fraud and rightfully overturn the election. The left has literally been planning riots just for that occasion for months. We, the people, must not and will not cede our exclusive constitutional right to elect our representatives to judges, lawyers, courts, governors, secretaries of state, Congress, corrupt election officials, and local politicians, the corrupt media, or leftist threats of violence. It is our exclusive right to decide our representatives, not theirs. Therefore, we the people must demand a new and fair national vote, a vote that all Americans can trust and live by regardless of the winner. Without a fair vote, we fear with good reason, the threat of a shooting civil war is imminent. Gun sales are at an all-time high, and 40% are first-time gun owners looking to defend themselves, their property, and their rights. Therefore, Mr. President, you must act now before there is no peaceful way left to preserve our union. When the legislators, courts, and/or Congress fail to do their duty under the 12th Amendment, you must be ready, Mr. President, to immediately declare a limited form of martial law and temporarily suspend the Constitution and civilian control of these federal elections for the sole purpose of having the military oversee a national revote, a vote that assures a fair election in every jurisdiction and reflects the true will of the people. Federal candidates only, paper ballots, no computers, hand counted with both parties watching every vote. Only registered voters, photo ID to prove residence. Conducted safely with everyone wearing masks and 6 feet apart, just like we did in Ohio. Only then can the winning candidate be accepted as legitimate by a true majority of we the people, who must give our consent to be justly governed. Unfortunately, we are at a point where we can only trust our military to do this because our corrupt political class and courts have proven their inability to act fairly and within the law. You must also act like Lincoln did, to silence the destructive media's one-sided propaganda designed to, and proven to influence the election outcome, and end the unlawful censorship of big tech, to restore the confidence of the American people in our electoral process, or we cannot continue as a nation. Failure to do so could result in massive violence and destruction on a level not seen since the Civil War. Limited martial law is clearly a better option than civil war. Many will object to these actions, as they did in Lincoln's day. But we assure you that we the people understand that no less action will suffice to prevent the loss of our constitutional right to vote and preserve our republic. It is time to honor your oath, Mr. President. It is time for you to boldly act to save our nation as Lincoln did. We, the people, will support a national revote. We will also have no other choice but to take matters into our own hands and defend our rights on our own if you do not act within your powers to defend us. Paid for by the We the People Convention, Thomas R. Zawitowski, President, www.wethepeopleconvention.org. Okay. So that was a long piece there. But that was shared. The link that takes you to that is none other than Michael Flynn, which I think is very, very interesting. Now, it is very, very interesting that General Flynn would share that, a link that contains, if you go to that link, it contains an image of that, and very, very interesting to say the least. And I have one more thing about one more thing to share with you tonight, and that is from this is a pretty, it looks to be newly released. I don't know if the clip itself is new, but this particular article that has it It's dated December 20. So today, so I wanted to play this for you. This is Robert F. Kennedy saying people in authority lie. He's basically issuing a warning on the COVID vaccine. And as you're listening to it, he does say we have a democracy. Notwithstanding that, because we are a constitutional republic, not a democracy, but notwithstanding the one word he uses, democracy, I agree with everything else he says in this video. So without further ado, I want to play this for you because I think it's very, very well spoken.
My father told me when I was a child, people in authority lie. And we all, if we are going to continue to live in a democracy, we need to understand that people in authority lie. People in authority will abuse every power that we relinquish to them. And right now, we are giving them the power to micromanage every bit of our lives 24 hours a day. They're going to know where we are. They're going to know the money that we spend. They're going to have access to our children. They're going to have the right to compel unwanted medical interventions on us. The Nazis did that in the camps in World War II. They tested vaccines on gypsies and Jews. And the world was so horrified after the war that we signed the Nuremberg Charter. And we all pledged when we do that, we would never again impose unwanted medical interventions on human beings without informed consent. And yet in 2 years, all of that conviction has suddenly disappeared. And people are walking around in masks where the science has not been explained to them. They are doing what they're told. They are orchestrating, these government agencies are orchestrating obedience that is not democratic. It's not the product of democracy. It's the product of a pharmaceutical-driven biosecurity agenda that will enslave the entire human race and plunge us into a dystopian nightmare where the apocalyptical forces of ignorance and greed will be running our lives and ruining our children and destroying all the dreams and dignity that we hope to give to our children.
So that was a video that was posted to the video, which is on YouTube, was shared to this article called Citizen. The website is called citizenfreepress.com. So I hope that was helpful to everybody. I just want everyone to understand that these masks, they don't do a thing. They're ridiculous. They're meant to control you. They're meant to control us. I mean, just thinking how much my life, and I can't even imagine what everyone else is dealing with. But just speaking for myself, my life has been so altered personally by these mask things, because there have been times, yes, I go into a store and I just put it on and I just deal with it, but it's completely against my will, and I know it doesn't work. It's against my rights. It's violating. It's prejudice. It's absolutely prejudicing my rights. And in fact, I go to South Carolina and I try to, do certain things down there if I can, now and then. It's absolutely ridiculous. And we the people must say no more to this, because it's not about health. How many more times do I have to say? It is not about health. It is about controlling you. So, and that is not a conspiracy theory. I mean, my gosh, if people cannot see now what's happening, I really honestly don't know what to say, because it should be so obvious to anybody, that this is not about health. This is about controlling you. Because they say, even if you get the vaccine, you won't be able to take off the mask, because we'll say you will have to continue to wear that mask for a long time. It's like, are you kidding me? So that just proves, again, this has nothing to do with health. This has everything to do about controlling us. And it's about time that you and I, we say no more. Just take them off. say no more. So, well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they are in control. And the deep state, they are in a panic because they know that Biden, the whole smokescreen with Biden, it's coming undone as we speak. And I truly believe that when it's all said and done, it's not going to end too well for Biden, because this is an attempted coup, and that's exactly what this is. This is not, I'm not just throwing that term around. This is literally an attempted coup. This is treason being committed against the American people right now for trying to usurp our will. So, and you know, one of the basic tenets of our society is that we are governed only by our consent, and the very basis of government in this country is supposed to be about we the people, meaning that we the people we basically delegate certain powers to the government to protect in turn our rights. And it's of course enumerated in the Constitution, but you know what I mean. So, all right, I think I've gone about long enough, but I just wanted to come on here and offer these additional items for your consideration. As always, get in touch with me across social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Parler, YouTube, all those things. And don't forget our website as well, thecitizenreport.weebly.com. I'll be back soon with another episode of The Citizen Report. God bless each and every one of you, and thank you so much for joining me as always. And I'll see you right back here again next time. Have a good night, everyone.